almost everything you've heard about this whole situation is a lie. Her fans begged her to stop giving out information.
Stop giving out details. Stop telling me what to do.
I'm getting the stomachache from drinking all this bleach. I feel ill. Stop drinking bleach. No. Who's the source? ChudLogic is the fucking source. That's right. I'm the fucking source on this, okay? Because my word is my fucking bond. Whoa. What the fuck is this? I didn't know this.
I am definitely getting cancelled. Hello guys and gals, me Mutahar, and today's video is one that we're definitely getting cancelled.
We looked at that yesterday. That is a very strong start, I must say. Just so you can see on the screen here. If anyone finds out how I spent the GFM, I'm definitely getting cancelled. And also up here, I'm sure we're going to go over it later. I keep trying to think of how it depleted so fast. Thank you for the £10, Headbug. Appreciate it. Like, this is it. This is the fucking shot, isn't it? Like, you're admitting here, unless you're going to try and do some gay argument that it was a joke or something like that. Yeah. I mean, this is clear as day at this point, right? I think people knew already, and people have pieced it together. But, yeah, this is 100% explicit, admitting to it. You've misappropriated the funds. Yeah, you've possibly committed a crime even, maybe. I don't know, but Jesus Christ, dude. Anyway, I'm going to try and do a good balance of reacting and watching. So let's continue.
Hello guys and gals, me Mutahar, and today's video is one that required quite a fair bit of research, and it's one that I should have released a few weeks ago. It's a video that might be one of my most controversial videos, but one that required looking back years upon years of internet history to come to an actual conclusion of one of the most dangerous people on the web, an international transgender activist that some of you all may know as Keffals. Now, Keffals is not necessarily a popular activist. They're an online transgender activist known for fighting against the controversial website Kiwi Farms. Her campaign saw mainstream attention after a highly publicized swatting, where she alleged mistreatment by the Canadian Police Services. The online harassment escalated until she was forced to flee her home country to escape.
One of the most dangerous people on the web. I think some people might wince at that and think that's a crazy take, but Keffals' actions with Kiwi Farms, I don't think it's underselling it to say that, yes, that is 100% a fair assessment. You know, what is it? Like circumventing the law to take down a legally run website in America by utilizing illicit strategy or lying strategies to get them to remove certain protections that can then lead to DDoSes and stuff. I mean, dude, it's fucking insane when you think about it. But it's sort of been massively... because the victimization from Keffals' side has been put forward so strongly, people don't think of it like that. But no, that is absolutely a worthy kind of statement.
The media and an entire community backing her, she raised over $100,000 on GoFundMe to recoup her losses and pursue legal action against law enforcement. This is the story the public heard all the way up in 2022. Turns out, her entire career and almost everything she said is a lie. Join me as I take you down a journey that involves SWAT teams, misgendering, do-it-yourself hormones, cat boys, and a scam many have tried to expose, yet for some reason almost no one is talking about. Before we get into the real meat and potatoes, I should probably explain a bit more about who Keffals is. Her name is Clara Sorrenti, first rose to prominence in a community of another left-wing political streamer named Bosch, garnering a following by posting memes on Twitter. With this notoriety, she began streaming video games on Twitch in March of 2020. Her focus shifted to politics later that year after a wave of anti-trans legislation swept through the United States. She went on to raise $200,000 for a campaign for Southern equality to protect trans youth. By the end of the year, her Twitter surpassed 10,000.
Okay, let's just no gender stuff. Let's keep going.
And while most were on board with the activist, others grew very critical of how she used her platform.
My question, as someone who is only moderately familiar with this whole saga, is what is the truth of the claims that Kiwi Farms caused people to off themselves? Thank you for the 690. What? You're not banned, are you? I don't think anyone's getting banned today, unless YouTube did something. So the claims that people top themselves with kiwi farms are extremely weak. This is off the top of my head. Maybe this goes into it. I don't know. But yeah, it's extremely weak. It's based on minimal information, and the people that they're claiming, you know, did it or had a multitude of other issues beyond just being on kiwi farms, right? So, you know, it's not particularly strongly argued. There isn't really much evidence for it at all. And there's obviously a vested interest if you are on the website as like a victim of kiwi farm, so to speak. You're getting talked about and the docs is on there and they're talking shit about you. You know, you overselling that is going to enable you, as Keffals did, to create a victim narrative, which you can use to push forward with your agenda, right? But yeah, I personally do not think there's good evidence that you can conclusively say kiwi farms caused that person to top themselves. And yeah, you know, they do have rules against harassment. You're not allowed to like post about going after people and interfering with their lives or something like that. It's meant to be you just talk about them and laugh about them and so on. Obviously, people do take it too far, but then it's like that could happen with any website, you know? They give it the bits. Like Kiwi Farms is seen as big and bad because they are absolute to the First Amendment in terms of allowing doxing. And there is an argument there that providing someone's docs means that someone could just see it and do a swatting or something like that. But again, although it's against the rules on other websites, it can still happen on other websites. And my view on it too is if you had someone's docs information posted on Twitter, say, I would imagine that with a little bit of pushing, that would probably be seen by more people before it gets deleted or removed than it would be on Kiwi Farms being sat there for ages, because Kiwi Farms traffic is obviously like a lot lower than Twitter. So, you know, even if you could say, well, they had this happen to them and it was because of Kiwi Farms having the docs information, you know, you could make that argument about any website, but you'd never hear people say that about Facebook or Twitter or something like that. And it's used again as a weapon to, you know, attack Kiwi Farms. Anyway, we'll talk more about Kiwi Farms when it comes up later. But, yeah.
Clara regularly directed her chat to brigade targets by ratioing them. Ratioing, for anybody who's not terminally online, is when you try to get more likes than the original post in a quote tweet or a reply. This amounted to coordinating with her chat on stream, and even if you blocked her, she would just use alternate accounts to achieve this goal.
Yep.
It was through this that she got into her first real internet beef in early 2022. On March 22nd, 2022, Clara had a spat with online notorious agitator Ian Miles Chong. Their back and forth continued for hours as she commanded her viewers to ratio him. Then at around 4:50 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, her chat was brigaded with hateful messages. Despite the timing, one of her mods would end up blaming someone else, another streamer named Destiny. Destiny is a kind of progenitor of the entire online leftist streaming space. His stream is where both Vosh and Hassan Piker got their start. These people used to be friends, and nowadays...
Ian Miles Ching Chong, am I allowed to say that? What is wrong with saying like a racialized name as a joke? It's so ridiculous. Twitch, don't ban me for that, okay?
Not so much. And that is reflected in their communities. The only evidence implicating Destiny was a quote tweet where he called her cringe. Ooh, the shock! It was posted 2 hours after the raid. Despite this, Clara and her community insisted it was his fault. Once again, there was no evidence he had any involvement, yet she used it as justification to deplatform him. Her first response was to try to get his Twitter mass reported and banned. She set her sights on his Twitch channel, launching what can only be described as a full-fledged character assassination. There are countless examples
So we had this like disagreement the other day, didn't we, of like, what is a mass campaign? A mass harassment campaign or something like that. Well, a mass flagging campaign, I think. Because I was saying about someone, oh, this isn't like a mass flagging campaign, it's shitty, but it's not the same. This is like a mass flagging campaign to me. Going onto your socials, like making a big noise about it across multiple platforms, you know, take this person down, this person's real bad, we've got to destroy them, etc., you know? Oh, thank you! Baby Lemon with pom-poms in his hands, cheerleading. Thank you for the super sticker.
Over legitimate slander and flat-out lies about Destiny. He detailed the worst of her behavior in an extensive document he published back in 2022. And I'm only going to touch on a few examples because this video is going to be as long as it is. The first thing to point out is she was successful in depriving him of one of his main sources of income. She painted Destiny as transphobic for not supporting trans women competing in sports with cis women. Even if you disagree with this, that doesn't necessarily make Destiny transphobic. It's a fringe pressure point of a...
I thought, wasn't it confirmed it was because Destiny, I mean, obviously the ban and the fact he's not on ban is gay, but I thought it was because he used the term subhuman or something in relation to, I mean, they found any reason they could, obviously, but I think it was apparently because of that, I heard somewhere.
Much larger, broader issue. It's a highly specific, contentious issue and an unfair characterization of his broader...
Because there was some stuff that was leaked about moderation on Twitch, and one of the things they said, maybe it happened after this even, I don't know, but one of the things it said is like, you're allowed to talk about trans in sports stuff, as long as you're not saying anything too transphobic. But the thing is, it's kind of irrelevant for the purpose of this video, because this is about what Keffals stated, what they said, and what they claimed, right?
Her catalog. Regardless, her labeling garnered enough support...
It's kind of like, you know, when the terrorist attack happens, back in the day when it was all a certain religion that was doing terrorist attacks, right? But then ISIS would be like, yeah, we did that. We take responsibility for that. It's a bit like that, isn't it? You know? Keffals is basically as bad as ISIS.
To get Destiny banned off of Twitch within 24 hours for hate speech. She immediately took credit, gloating about taking away his primary source of income. Hey Steve, I just took away your primary source of income. Please leave me alone and stop bullying trans people for content. He picked a fight with me, he got banned, I won.
Dude, looking back at this and seeing how smug Keffals was about this stuff, it's like any small scrap of sympathy that I've got for all of the bad transphobia and shit like that, right? It just evaporates. I'm like, you were so fucking smug about this shit. You know? The Destiny shit, the Kiwi Farm stuff, which we're going to go on to. You were so fucking smug about this all. And now you're crying because you're getting like a little bit back. Well, quite a bit back, to be fair. Do you know what I mean? But dude, it's unbelievable. The level of smugness is insane.
Behavior was not only encouraged, but rewarded with 30,000 new followers that week. An important thing to remember is that if you're banned off Twitch, you cannot appear on the site at all. For the long...
Oh my god, yes! That quote, when I'm weak... I forget it, I need to memorize it. When I'm weak, I'll ask you for freedom because that is according to your principles. When you're weak, I'll take your freedom away because that is according to my principles. Is that it? That's the quote, isn't it?
Longest time, you couldn't even show his face on screen without getting in trouble. Now that he couldn't defend himself, she spread even more blatant falsehoods. The same day, she baselessly accused Destiny of stealthing, which is secretly removing a condom during sex without the partner's consent. This is generally considered a form of you-know-what, which Clara brings up in her accusation.
Oh yeah, meanwhile he stealths people, which is legitimately a form of... Insane.
Is that like a recognition? I mean, listen, I'm obviously a small-time guy, okay? I'm obviously a small-time guy, but as we know, as old heads will know, we've been there ourselves. But yeah, it's like... talking about rape and smite. Stylo! Sometimes it's funny to joke about it. But yeah, obviously when you're making allegations like this and smirking, it's like, oh no, what is it? Oh no! Jupiter's Delight. It's fucking Jupiter's Delight. It's Jupiter's Delight is what it is. Remember Jupiter's Delight, right? That's the estrogen kicking in, I think, because that's a woman thing generally. Anyway.
Insane shit.
To this day, there has never been any evidence or even an allegation made towards Destiny about this. She walked it back shortly after, which shows just how callous she is towards claims of such a serious nature. But because he was deplatformed, she was able...
He means because she is remembering back to her... Okay. Can we not, please? I'm not saying that.
Able to further a false narrative to her chat, as well as tens of thousands of people on Twitter. They all either assumed she was being honest or didn't care she was slandering him because they had already disliked Destiny. In retrospect, her behavior paints a clear picture of how she would conduct herself in the future.
I thought that Keffals had a very loving background, though. Like, didn't... Oh, God. Oh. Didn't... Sadly, the father passed away, but they paid for certain surgery before that happened. Oh, it feels a bit weird to say. I'm not trying to do anything weird here. I'm just trying to rebuff the allegation of being molested, okay?
Long into this drama that Keffals got noticed by the site Kiwi Farms, who started a thread about her on March 26, 2022. Clara quickly tried to guilt Destiny by association, claiming he used the forum and was even friends with the owner. And what was the reasoning? Well, because apparently he has an account is because he was a target on the site since 2017 with his own board. All his posts are arguing with trolls in his own thread. He was also never friends with Null, who is the owner of Kiwi Farms. He has also gone on record to wish him death several times. Null, by the way, wishing death on Destiny.
And this is while he's out, I guess.
Yo!
It's just like, he's super gross. And sometimes he says things which are funny or agreeable. And it's like, I wish I could like you, bro, but you're creepy and gross and weird. And your brain's all up and your shit's all retarded and you talk like a... So we can't be friends, and I kind of think the world would be better off with you.
Clara knew this, but intended...
That dude. I think I recognize that person, actually. Towering above Destiny there. I mean, to be fair, you know, I don't think you need to be particularly tall to do that, but... Although, I think, if I recall correctly, I'm pretty sure that Null and Destiny... Mogged by... Okay. I'm pretty sure Null and Destiny, after the Kiwi Farm stuff, ended up having a conversation. And although, obviously, you know, there's shit talking and stuff, I think they had, if I recall, quite a good conversation. And it was like talking about the issue and Kiwi Farms and stuff. That's pretty based. I'd like to speak to Null one day. I don't know what about, though. Oh, yeah, I'm sure he still hates him. But I think that it was one of those situations where it's like, put that to one side. Like, you know, someone's trying to fucking destroy the foundations of the internet, you know? So that's more important than whatever shit talking.
Intentionally spread a lie that they met 10 years ago on the game StarCraft. When confronted, she admitted, I know, I wanted him to respond to the accusation, it was bait. At this point, I should probably take some time to explain exactly what Kiwi Farms is. Kiwi Farms is an online website dedicated to discussing internet figures. Okay, you probably heard about internet lolcows, people like Chris Chan, Boogie2988, or Daniel Larson, who has his own legal problems of late. The website's composed of various threads where users effectively congregate to document and follow individuals with a negative lens, okay? Now, we have to acknowledge that Kiwi Farms does allow doxing, okay? On the site, it's permitted to post the personal information of anybody being discussed, including full names, phone numbers, home addresses, hell, even blood type if you can find it, and most other forms of personally identifiable information. It's also a site where anything goes, okay? It's like the Wild West of the internet. You ever try to look up me on some of these threads? You'll probably find Indian and poo in the loo and crazy stuff all day, every day. Kiwi Farms was made back in 2013.
Okay. I think that was pretty reasonable. I think one thing that people thought about Mutahar is because he's quite a progressive dude. He's more on the left or whatever, that he was going to like lay in super hard to Kiwi Farms in order to do the kind of like, well, Kiwi Farms is really bad, guys. But anyway, here's all the information that I found on there that I'm not going to tell you I found on there because Kiwi Farms is bad, to kind of solicit a certain response. But no, I think that's pretty reasonable. Yeah, that's a pretty fair, accurate description of the site that doesn't really sway one way or another. It's just, this is what it is. This is what it allows. He's fair. Mutahar is fair.
By Joshua Connor Moon, also online known as Null. The original purpose of the site was to document internet figure Chris Chan. After they covered Chris Chan initially, it started to change itself and rebrand into a general purpose online gossip wiki, so to speak, where they started to cover various individuals like Darkside Phil, Boogie, Wings of Redemption, who all actually have threads. And the site does have a propensity to make threads about transgender individuals. Anti-trans sentiment is banned on a lot of major platforms, and as a result, the site has become a place for those opinions to effectively congregate. Now again, I want to start off by saying I don't endorse or support that behavior. In fact, I outright condemn it, all right? There's no reason to have any form of hate on the internet. That being said, all right...
Okay. That was a bit soy. That was a little bit soy. That to me strikes me as, granting some ground to the anti-Kiwi Farms people. It's not the end of the world. It's not the end of the world, okay? Yes, it's for the normies. I think what you need to understand, particularly if you're like a Kiwi Farms person, is normies don't like this shit, okay? Like, you got to accept the normies. You know, there's going to be a little bit of banter and stuff, but, you know, probably good just to give a little bit of bait or whatever to the normies. Yeah, I think that's bad. You know, I think that's fair.
Whatever, right? There's no reason to have any form of hate on the internet. That being said, all right, whatever goes on the site does fall under free speech and is entirely legal, okay? Yeah. It's somewhat of a misnomer online that apparently doxing somebody is against the law. It is against the law to hack someone's accounts and breach their privacy to obtain their personal information, but that behavior is not encouraged by the site, and of course that behavior is punishable by law. But technically, it is not against the law to post someone's address against their will. As shitty as that sounds, most controversial internet figures have threads on this site, where they not only document their personal information, but they collect any piece of content, tweets, and documents that they post online. So early on, Clara blamed the thread's creation on Destiny, saying he was the reason they found out about her. Later, she admitted it was her constant instigating that actually caught their attention.
Dude, this is so classic as well, isn't it? Oh, it's this person that did it. No, it's you spurging out that got you fucking attention, right? That's what caused this.
How did the Kiwi Farm stuff even start? They noticed me because I started doing Twitter ratios. And they went from getting mad about Twitter ratios to digging up every single thing in the last 28 years of my life, looking for more reasons to be mad at me.
Again, hypocrisy and misstatements are going to be rife in this video. After Destiny got banned from Twitch, the owner of Kiwi Farms discussed their feud on their podcast. The episode was streamed live on March 25th. Clara reacted on Twitter, calling him the final boss of transphobes, and proclaiming she wouldn't back down. I have done nothing wrong, nor will I be going anywhere. Her threat...
Okay. There's two things there. One is like the final boss of transphobes. Kind of a shitty boss if you can just ignore them and you probably will be fine, right? Is there any person that can be pointed to that has just ignored Kiwi Farms and not paid it attention, not paid attention to Josh and stuff, that's come to any issue? Like, is there an incident like that? It feels to me like even if you want to point to the suicide thing, right? It's like you're participating, you're getting involved. Do you know what I mean? You're feeding the trolls. Yeah, exactly. I think generally speaking, broadly, if you just ignore it, you're probably going to be okay. Hopefully I don't ever have to eat my hat at any point. But yeah, generally speaking, just ignore it. Repsion is a thread and he doesn't give it attention. Yeah, but has Repsion had anything happen to him? What? What happened to him? What happened to him? Okay. Wait, what? Okay. That's another topic, okay? If there's an example to look at, we can look at it, okay? Just ignore the weird online freaks documenting you. Nothing can happen. Yes. Correct. Like, yes, this is like the most... Don't feed the trolls is the most classic thing. It's like being trapped by a boa constrictor. The more you wriggle, the more you can have problems, right? It just is the smartest thing that you can do, is to just ignore it and not pay attention to it. Even if you don't want to get on board with that, thank you for the $10. Even if the two options are ignore it, and maybe something might happen in some theorized world, sure, okay? Versus... engage with it, indulge in it, and fucking, you know, to an insane level and give them more material, except like ignore it versus create a campaign to take the website down that's unsuccessful. What are you going to fucking choose? Like, do you know what I mean? Going back to like another person, Grecian. Grecian is a great example of this. Grecian was some trans YouTuber with like barely any fucking subs, right? And they made a video shitting on kiwi farms and saying how bad it was and it was dangerous and stuff like that. And do you know what happened? This fucking 10k sub fucking person ended up getting a massive thread about them and every detail of the fucking life getting documented. You know, and the thing is like, it's not that you can't talk about it, right? It's that if you do talk about it, you might suffer some consequence from that of like being documented, but be honest about it. Thank you for the $5. True, that's true as well. Oh, it's off. Sorry. Fuck. I'll read it out. Sorry, that's... So yeah, if you're online, you automatically document yourself. You have to accept that if you're going to be here. That is true. Keffals is a transgender woman that crazy far-righters think every transgender person is. Yes, exactly. TTS theft has just occurred. I'm sorry. It's back now. Okay, it's on. We're good to go. But yeah, this Grecian person had like a massive thread made about them. But the thing is, I used to buy into some of this narrative. I genuinely had these thoughts about kiwi farms, and you know, it was based on people just talking about it rather than actually looking and seeing what's going on more so. And you know, it's like you can talk about kiwi farms, you can have a take about it and talk about it, but just be honest. Don't tell complete lies about it, right? You know, don't fucking bullshit, and don't call it like a doxing murder site or whatever. Like, don't say stupid, retarded things about it that just aren't true.
Thread was created the next day, racking up page after page scrutinizing her early life and online history. That included rumors of embezzling funds from her local Communist Party chapter for opiates, and a supposed Discord server called the Catboy Ranch. It was posted alongside her and her family's personal information, which understandably made her very upset. Clara spoke out about this, which led many people who'd been similarly targeted to join her in solidarity.
Oh my god. We've got an S-Queer... Yo! We got an S-Queer tweet! We love S-Queer on this channel, don't we, guys? Hey? There's not a single... I am fair. I'm very fair. There's not a single time I've ever looked or seen anything that S-Queer has done and gone, yeah, that's okay. Every single act they take is utter retardation. Endless retardation. Warning. Do not use personally identifying info to report Kiwi Farms to Cloudflare. They will forward the info to the Kiwi Farms registrar. Null doing his best to destroy his CDA 230 immunity by admitting to featuring the doxing thread and doing so intentionally to promote harassment and doxing. By the way, I featured the Keffals thread because they're such a high-profile attention whore that doing so poses no harm. Definitely want to avoid putting the Eye of Sauron on small fries. What does that? What does that mean? Featured the Keffals thread because they're such a high-profile attention whore. They're doing so poses no harm. The Eye of Sauron on... Oh, as in like there's smaller people out there and they don't want to have people looking at that. God, I cannot trust S-Queer to present things accurately because they're claiming this is harassment and doxing, and I just don't think that's what's happening here. I think they're saying, well, Keffals is very attention hungry and is doing a bunch of stuff for attention, but these smaller people aren't, and we don't want to send lots of attention their way, I think is what he's saying. Anyway, continuing on.
This began what eventually became #DropKiwiFarms. #DropKiwiFarms was a movement to get the site taken off the internet. They specifically went after service providers like Cloudflare, who provided DDoS protection and mitigation services. They argued Kiwi Farms was a stalking and harassment site that bullied people into taking their own lives. However, this largely picked up after her story received widespread mainstream coverage. For a while, her focus stayed on trying to bludgeon Destiny with their reputation. On July 18th, Keffals announced a tell-all about Destiny's association with the site. This backfired because her thumbnail used a picture of Destiny's face, violating Twitch's policy on banned streamers. Her channel got banned.
I vaguely remember as well. Oh, God. This is all from the old Memory bank. Wasn't there didn't Keffals do a stream? Oh, they say it here. Yeah, the thumbnail. He's about to say it. I pause-handed. But yeah, Keffals put the F slur in the thumbnail and then was surprised that
and before she could even start, forcing her to stream on YouTube instead. The attention only incentivized Kiwi Farms.
Oh no, he did highlight it, but didn't say. Yeah. So what happened was Keffals was trying to highlight the hate they were getting, put a bunch of slurs into the thumbnail, and was surprised they got back. Yeah, obviously you can't fucking do that.
To keep prodding, and a week later she fell victim to an attempted swatting. The incident has made public on the 9th of August in a video titled, "My Life is in Danger, I Need Your Help." Clara explained that 4 days earlier, on August 5th, she woke up to police services pointing an assault rifle at her face.
On August 5th, I was woken up by London police services pointing an assault rifle in my face.
A letter had been emailed to every city council member in London, Ontario, threatening a mass. Clara was arrested, booked, and held in custody for 11 hours. They searched her apartment and confiscated several devices. They allegedly misgendered her and even booked her under her dead name. If you're unaware, dead naming refers to using a prior name for a trans person generally associated with the gender they were assigned at birth. This worsened an already traumatic experience she considered a hate crime. The video is posted alongside a GoFundMe with the state.
Okay, can we just... Right. Do you know what I saw early on Twitter? I should have... It doesn't really matter that much. But it was like, you know the meme of like, you're trying to insult someone, but someone has got that characteristic is getting hurt by it, right? It was that meme. Okay? But it was like misgendering someone. Someone was shooting like a laser blaster at someone, okay? And then it hits the mirror, and then it hits someone else. And the laser blaster is like misgendering. Like, this is how these people see this, right? They think that getting misgendered or dead named is the equivalent of getting hit with a fucking laser gun. And I'm sick of it. I'm sick of having to act like that's something I've got to take seriously, okay? I get it's disrespectful to you. I get that it's going to be upsetting to you, okay? But acting like it's similar to getting hit by a fucking laser. Come on, give me a break with this shit, will you? Fucking hell, man. Anyway.
Intent of helping Clara recoup her losses, move immediately, and build a legal fund to protect her rights. It received widespread media attention, bringing in over $100,000 in donations. Even with their support, however, it seemed like there was no escape. Trolls kept figuring out her location as she was forced into hiding, and her battle against Kiwi Farms continued. Even after fleeing the continent, eventually she was successful in getting the site dropped by Cloudflare.
Forced into hiding. I mean, does Mutahar go into it about the fact that Keffals' story changed and actually it was apparently an ex that was abusive that made Keffals flee Canada? I don't want to spoil the thunder too much. Thank you, Faith Adams. Thank you very much for the membership. Appreciate it. Hope you're well.
Who cited an imminent threat to human life. Without their protection, Kiwi Farms became vulnerable to illegal denial of service attacks and was forced to shut down. Now this is the story that the public was led to believe.
Oh, okay, he's doing the thing. Yo, that was what you were led to believe. Uh-oh.
Concluding a successful campaign, Keffals reiterated over and over that the site had been shut down. It only became more difficult to insist as time had gone on, given it's obviously not true. Kiwi Farms is up to this day, and by all metrics, it has way more stability than ever before. And what many of her supporters don't realize is that this is truly the beginning of the web of lies that make up this entire ordeal. Almost everything you've heard about this whole situation is a lie. And that's why I'm going to explore in depth in these next two sections. These are two very important aspects to the story to address her portrayal of the swatting and how exactly the money was spent.
Yo, let's go! You can see why they're trying to make it all about the thumbnail and all this other dross nonsense, right? Because I'm going to go ahead and just predict this is probably watertight, okay? I mean, what wriggle room is there in all of this?
When it comes to something as serious as swatting, it's important not to downplay its severity. This is a crime that's taken innocent people's lives. But curiously, her story began to change as time went on. The narrative set forth in her initial video is one of terror. Clara says on the 5th of August, she is awoken by police services pointing an assault rifle at her face. This specific detail is referenced in her video several times.
On August 5th, I was woken up by London police services pointing an assault rifle in
Hate it
my
when that
face
happens.
at my home. When I was woken up by police officers and saw the assault rifle pointed at me, I thought I was going to die. I feel traumatized.
Her story then changed to an encounter in the hallway. The exact phrasing is that she went into the hallway and then saw the weapon.
The email, Sorrenti says, had given out her real address and resulted in police with guns at her doorstep and her being arrested.
When I went into the hallway and then saw that assault rifle, I screamed and I thought I was going to die.
A month later, she admitted that they didn't enter her apartment until...
I'm sorry, okay? The idea that you would see a police officer with a gun, unless you're black, okay? Unless you're a black guy, I just don't think it's reasonable to think that you're going to die. Because presumably, assuming that story is even true, it would be like a SWAT, they'd be like a SWAT team or whatever, right? There's no way. Like, you know, like what are they called in Canada? I don't know what they're called in Canada. But you know what I mean? It's like, they'd be like, that's a police officer with a gun. What the fuck is going on? Not that I'm going to die. Unless it's a female officer holding a taser, of course. Then in that case, you're perhaps more reasonable, okay? Oh, the Mounties. Oh, that's like the Canadian FBI, isn't it, right? The RCMP. Okay. Do they have those fucking red jackets on? There's no tactical gear in Canada. They got those, you know, those big red jackets. Like in that show from ages ago. It's like that.
After she was in custody.
They did not go into my apartment until after I was in custody. And they had a search warrant signed.
These next few clips are of Alex, her fiancé at the time. Alex confirms she didn't wake up with a gun in her face and reveals Clara wasn't even the one to answer the door. They spoke to Alex first, who was already awake, and gave Clara enough time to put on pajamas.
So it wasn't quite that they knocked on the door and I
Tail end of
answered.
my sub is go.
Rather, I was getting ready for the shower and there was a tremendous pounding. And
Okay. Is this Keffals' abusive ex? Have I got this right? Because if so, the only pounding that was being experienced was this person's womanly knuckles on Keffals' womanly face. Okay, go on. What the fuck? Bro, that's crazy. Can't believe I just said that. Okay. Allegedly. I don't know which side. Okay, I don't know which side to trust. Okay. Yeah, a bit of lesbian domestic abuse. Okay. I'm going to say the things that Mutahar can't say. And then, I don't know, someone else. Who would it be? Metica. Josh Moon can really... Josh Moon can really say the things. You know, he can really say them.
so, yeah, someone did not wake her with a rifle pointed 3 inches from her face. But essentially, as soon as she woke up...
Was I in a state of undress? I was naked and I had to put on a pair of pajamas that was like on the floor before I could even go out to see the police officers.
See, the story has already morphed significantly from Clara waking up to guns in her face, to seeing guns in the hallway, to police never entering the apartment at all. The lack of consistency is concerning, given she was supposed to be taking legal action against them. And I mean, Keffals went so far as to compare herself to a victim of police brutality. Every time I see another story involving an innocent black man being killed by the police, I think back to last month when I had an assault rifle. Dog, whatever you think about the interaction, it is by no means comparable to what happened to Elijah McClain. And the fact that she can't keep her story straight just makes this so much more worse. Clara also claims...
So, okay, there's two angles to that. Okay, one is that's obviously absurd on the face of it. But another thing I was just thinking there as well, like obviously getting swatted is going to suck, right? It's going to be annoying, irritating, etc., right? But swatting is so is much more prevalent now than like years ago when that was the first thing that could happen. That like no one gets to this level about it. No one is like acting like they're in this grave threat because they got swatted. Most of the time, it's, oh man, I got swatted. Fucking hell, you bloody assholes, you know, blah, blah, blah. And in fact, not addressing it and not acting like this big deal about it is better because it means that you're not feeding the trolls too, right? But yeah, it's like, what an absurd overreaction and insane excessive statement of the facts for what is something a lot of content creators have to deal with. That is just part and parcel of the job, unfortunately, for one, you know. And then also, yeah, as the story changed, it went from what seemed like a vicious swatting incident to a police visit, essentially. God, dude. Yes, exactly. It all ties in together. The dramatization leads to victimhood, leads to the calls for money are more reasonable, and so on, and so on, and so on, right? God, it's all connected. It's all connected.
Police were transphobic and booked her under a dead name. If you're unaware, dead naming again refers to using a prior name for a trans person generally associated with the gender they were assigned at birth.
During the arrest, the police officer referred to me by my dead name. I was booked in the station under my dead name. The police, when talking to my mother, referred to me as her son. The fact that a fake email led to London Police Services booking me under my dead name reveals the prejudice that many police have towards transgender people. This is despite the fact that the email contained my real name before ever even mentioning my dead name. This is one of the property bags returned to me after I was released from custody. All of the property bags returned to me have Roberts written on them.
Oh, how could you possibly recover from such a terrible human rights abuse? I didn't realize Canada was North Korea all of a sudden. Holy shit.
Roberts was my last name until I legally changed my name first to Kaylee Sorrenti on January 25th, 2012.
On August 11th, London Police Chief Steve Williams put out a statement regarding some of her accusations.
Yeah, I tell you what, yeah, Stylo's on the money there. Watching that there really gave me the kind of impression that I had watching the George Floyd murder for the first time. Wakanda forever! What's the trans equivalent to that?
He states that all activity in the holding cells is monitored by audio and video
Keffals
equipment.
can't breathe.
They reviewed the footage and found no evidence of Miss Sorrenti being addressed by her dead name and gender. Williams concluded her dead name was used on property bags due to the existence of a prior police report, explaining that it was literally for tracking purposes. He apologized and ensured a solution would be implemented to prevent any of this in the future.
Honestly, this was teed up, wasn't it? Oh, God. It is part of the kind of endeavor here to tee up the ACAB. They're teed up for ACAB stuff. You give them enough information that aligns with their ideological preconceptions, and boom, ACAB, transphobic. You know, when the reality is the police seemed very professional and very good, and, you know, if anything, a bit too woke about this stuff. You know, they seemed more than reasonable. But then that became part of this cover-up idea. Oh, the police actually, they're lying and all this stuff. Like, obviously, it's complete nonsense. It's total nonsense. Canadians are sort of, you know, inherently polite as it is. And clearly, based on the response, there wasn't this spate of transphobic shit that happened when this occurred. It's just so fucking obvious, dude.
Claire responded to the statement by reiterating her dead name was used during the arrest. She even speculated the timing may have been intentional so they wouldn't get caught.
It's important that he said, "While I cannot confirm any conversations which might have transpired during Miss Sorrenti's initial arrest," and that's when it happened, "the activity in the holding cells is monitored. And I never made a statement about any bad things that happened while I was in custody." I would absolutely assume that when the police know that these things are being recorded and can be part of public record, they would be more careful with how they go about their business.
I said before about body cams, one of the downsides for progressives when it comes to body cams is recognizing that most police interactions are very normal. Like, there's not really anything that crazy that happens, right? Most police interactions are calm, polite, straightforward, etc. And there isn't this spate of coppers just like randomly pulling out a gun and putting a bullet in someone, shit like that. Do you know what I mean? It's like, it really disproved, it actually helped to work against the narrative that the police were like bloodthirsty bigots that at every turn were looking for an opportunity to shoot someone or to be a bigot or to say a slur or something like that. And then the new narrative that's come up, which Keffals is presenting here, is, oh, well, but you know, they were doing it off of the camera. They knew. As if a fucking copper is sat there thinking, oh, I can do it here now out of earshot or something like that, and that's going to be okay. Like, that's an insane idea that it's like the ultimate bad cop that is even getting to the point where they're figuring out what they're going to be seen on and what they're not going to be seen on so they can be transphobic. It's just absurd. It doesn't make any fucking sense, dude. Like, you know, they probably went about their business. There could have been some stuff that happened, possibly, but like, I doubt it was this intentional thing that they were doing, specifically off camera, to get away with being transphobic towards you. Yeah, it's like movie shit. It's like people have got this movie understanding of cops, and they think of them as these malicious actors who want to murder you and do everything they can to be corrupt as possible, when the reality is, it's probably just a normal dude who just so happens to be a cop that wants to do their daily shift and go home to their family. Right? Crazy. Yes, exactly. Master villains scheming how they can make low-stake transphobic remarks to trouble trans women. Exactly. It's complete and utter cope, and it's so obviously a fucking lie.
I don't expect them to acknowledge how bad the situation actually was. And there's no way of verifying it besides first-person testimony because there's no body cams in the London Police Service.
Her own partner then contradicts the claim that she was dead-named during the address, though alludes to unspecified misgendering that occurred. Once again, any instance after the arrest should have been captured on recording.
And they yelled at Clara while she was in bed. So she got up. They were saying Clara Sorrenti. Note that they did not use her dead name at this point either.
As far as I know, is there anything I missed, Alex?
I think that's really the main gist of the arrest portion, which was really the most traumatic in terms of...
I love seeing two lesbian queens speaking their truth.
You know, having the guns pointed at us, the misgendering that occurred. Yeah, that whole arrest. That is how it happened. It wasn't straight up dynamic entry. They didn't...
The absence of evidence means that this only remains a he said, she said scenario. But it's hard to take Clara's word at face value given her complete and total lack of credibility. Another key part of her story was that police had confiscated their devices, resulting in significant financial damages.
They seized both my personal and work phone, as well as the work computer that I broadcast on Twitch from. Not only that, but the police seized my fiance's cell phones and laptop, as well as their external drive, which contained the only copy of their PhD thesis and other important university documents. Because of the negligence of the police, we were both left functionally unemployed.
The negligence of the police? Is that really negligence?
Okay, that's wonderful. But how do I make money off depressed people?
Dead naming is a tactic taught in the academy, I reckon.
Thank you very much for the 333. Appreciate it.
And I have spent thousands of dollars replacing our computers and cell phones.
And this was one of her justifications to launch the GoFundMe, to recoup her losses.
I started a GoFundMe to move immediately, recoup my losses, and build a legal fund to protect my rights.
But there were no losses to recoup. The devices were returned after 3 days.
I eventually got my stuff back in like 3 days and got an apology from the chief of police.
That's nice.
So, yeah, that was really nice. Not nice how they responded to the situation, but I'll take it.
Now, if we're to believe...
Oh my God.
How they responded to the situation, but I'll take it.
Drugs. 100% drugs. There's no two ways about it, right? Definitely did this drugged up, right? Yeah, Jomi noticed it too. I know a drug user when I see them, okay?
Now, if we're to believe that she meant 3 days after the swatting, that would place it on August 8th, a day before the GoFundMe started. There's also footage of Clara picking up.
Wait, what? So hang on a minute. The GoFundMe was started after. Is that 100? Is that a hundo? That's crazy if that's true. Listen, Mutahar generally is quite diligent, so I'm going to take his word for it. Okay, I trust him on these matters. I trust him on matters such as this and fixing my computer if it breaks down. So I'm going to go ahead with his word. Yeah, that's pretty wild stuff. Holy fuck.
Up her belongings from the police station, where you can see this property bag. It heavily resembles the property bag seen in her initial video. A close-up of one of the labels shows us a date of August 8th, 2022. This again implies that she got her stuff back before the video and GoFundMe ever even went live, and knowingly lied about needing to buy a new cell phone and computer. Even if you don't want to make that assertion, at best, she got her stuff back the next day, because this upload is dated August 10th. There is no way to reconcile these statements, and either way, it was dishonest to never update that campaign to reflect this.
Because of the negligence of the police, we were both left functionally unemployed, and I have spent thousands of dollars replacing our computers and cell phones, so our lives aren't completely destroyed by what happened to us.
Thousands of dollars. Like, you could make a stream work for fairly cheap if you needed to, right? You probably wouldn't need to spend any more than $1,000 to get a portable setup that you could just use whilst you're waiting. Like, there's just no way it would even cost that much money. You need a computer. You could probably pick up a base unit for what, $300 or $400 that would probably be able to do a stream. Keyboard, yeah, $1,000 top, absolute tops. That's an insane level of dishonesty that obviously the viewers bought. Yeah, look at my stream, hey. In fact, I am actually quite frugal with this stuff. I've got my second monitor breaking. It's like around the edges. It's kind of going white, and I'm still using it because I'm not a, But yeah, you could. It's insane to think that you are in a position where it's like, I've got nothing, and you go and spend that much money on gear that you just don't need. Insane.
Now, Keffals launched her GoFundMe on August 9, 2022 with an initial goal of $20,000. The page claims that if this amount was exceeded, the funds would be allocated to a legal fund to protect herself against ongoing and future threats to her safety. However, this was later changed to, I am keeping the GoFundMe up, but all donations are going directly to my legal fund, which I will be using to seek justice. Now, this is a very, very important distinction, because it means all the donations past the first 20 grand were explicitly for legal action. See, Clara gradually kept raising the goal until it reached over $100,000 on the 20th.
Okay.
If you want to be technical, it actually never ended, because she's still taking donations to this day. In fact, there wasn't even a fixed amount, which is odd, as it makes it seem like her goal was to basically raise as much money as possible rather than afford an intentional expense. Naturally, with her effort raising over $100,000, there were questions.
Money off depressed
Hey, Phil Frankenstein, thanks for the gifted. I mean, yeah, this all seems. I mean, the thing is this. I tell you what I want, and this is going to be good content as well. I want to see a leftoid Keffals fan response to this. That I think is what is needed now. You need someone to make a video to respond to this, because that's probably the best way that you're going to get someone to actually look into it and maybe be able to bring forward information that might like contest some of this stuff, Tipster response. Oh my God. How much money do you reckon Nicholas would pay just to see a tipster response? Okay. We'll look at we'll look on Subreddit. I think there's someone that responded to a tweet we could look at. I don't know. We'll figure it out. Maybe there's some stuff already.
Over how the money was spent. Claire's tried to poison the well numerous times by calling anyone who asks this question bad faith. I'll never do a GoFundMe breakdown for bad faith actors who neither support me nor contributed to the fund in the first place. Well, what if I gave money? Am I now allowed to ask? Ooh.
Wait. Hang on a minute. Did Mutahar... There's no way. That's so based. He gave $5. Dude, that is incredible. Now he's a paying customer. Amazing.
The first place.
By the way, I remember this drama happening. God, I know these people. I know these people from Twitter. But yeah, there was people who, it got to a point where even lefties, even dyed in the wool Twitter lefties were asking questions and were going like, hang on a minute, like what's going on here? Da, da, da. And even they were labeled as bad faith actors, right? And it's like, how can they be a bad faith actor? They are acting in the best possible faith. They're respecting your gender identity. They're asking nicely, but they just want to know, where is the money and what is happening? Denims has Mutahar decides to be transphobic. Oh, there's some content for tomorrow. Based. Oh my God. Oh, it's going to be great. Yes, we finally got an ongoing drama we can get our teeth into. Let's go.
Well, what if I gave money? Am I now allowed to ask? Ooh, that's a question we should bring up. You have to remember, this was a story that got mainstream coverage. There were over 150 articles published about the situation, including The Guardian, NBC.
Oh my God, I didn't realize it was that extensive, dude. What, dude? That's crazy. That's mental. Okay, dude, how schizo do I get here? I think that okay, so for example, Keffals, when there was some drama like the swatting thing, had a press release. Do you remember that? Keffals had a press release ready to go. Okay? Keffals used to be associated with the Canadian Communist Party or some shit, right? I think that as part of that, Keffals got some media training, and that led to, in situations like the doxing, they knew that they would need to have a press statement prepared. I think that Keffals recognised that a lot of outlets were hot to trot for trans-related stories. And it was a kind of pattern of like, oh, if we have a trans-related story that we can publish to bolster our liberal lefty cred, we're going to do it. So I think it was a kind of game that was played of like, number one, doing the press release stuff just because of having the experience of the media training, and number two, recognizing that this is something that if you pushed it enough could get picked up because press outlets were chomping at the bit for any trans stuff they could publish because they knew it got clicks, right? So it was kind of playing this perfect game based on a perfect storm that existed of a bad situation of the swatting, that being, well, if you want to call it that, whatever you want to call it, being beefed up with good media training to capitalize on certain narratives that press outlets are looking to report on, right? You know, with stuff like, who is it? Nathan Grayson. That guy's a fucking ex-Gamergate guy, isn't he? Anyway,
ABC,
continue.
CNN, Bloomberg, the Associated Press, and Canadian state-funded news outlet CBC. Popular politicians like Jagmeet Singh of the NDP party took a stand by her publicly. Normies were led to believe a series of events that did not occur. And there are regular folk out there who don't have the time or capability to ensure their funds weren't misused, especially when there is a limited amount of financial support for at-risk members of the trans community. There is nothing wrong with questioning for transparency of where this money had went. In fact,
I left this for almost a year, accusing me of scamming people out of $100,000 with no evidence. I was advised by my lawyer not to speak until I actually filed the human rights complaint. How can you tell Keffals is lying? Moving lips. I don't know. Is that a thing? As in, you know, they're doing that. They're probably lying, okay? Everything that comes out of their mouth is a fucking lie, dude.
In fact, more people should actually be asking where this money even went. Clara posted this photo in her Discord server, which was enough for trolls to bombard the hotel with pizzas. The next day, she uploaded a video declaring things had escalated and she was now in hiding. If you recall, another goal of hers was to move out immediately after someone hacked her Uber Eats account and sent $500 worth of food.
So what happened, I woke up and I got an email that the Uber, the email for my Uber Eats account was changed. And then I looked outside the door and there was like at least $500 worth of food ordered with my hacked Uber account. So I got doxxed again, except this time I also got hacked.
she expedited an already planned trip to Europe. Her rationale was that London police didn't
Hi, Uber support. My account was hacked and the password and email changed. Hundreds of dollars worth of food showed up on my doorstep. Can you please message me? Oh my God. I mean, let's not spoil it. I think he's probably going to mention it, right? The bait aspect, right?
didn't have the resources to stop online trolls. And then she went live to provide further details.
Are you moving to Europe? I'm gonna be living there for a while, but I'm not moving there. My fiance is staying back in Canada, and I'm gonna be in the UK on my own for a while.
It's and obviously this changed much later, didn't it? To my partner was abusive, and that's why I left. But yeah, obviously the worst thing you can do if you're getting trolled like that is to elicit more attention by posting about it. But then apparently later on, Keffals goes on to declare, actually, I was doing it for bait. That's why I was doing it. So no one else was getting attention. I'm sure he's going to mention it in a sec. But dude, it's just shameless. Totally shameless. And you know, every iteration and turn, there's a new spin on the tail that gets added. But for some people, none of that was ever enough to go, okay, hang on a minute. This person's kind of talking some shit. No, what's going on here?
I think that the current plan is that in 2-3 weeks of my stay, my fiance is going to be coming over and we'll stay together for a while. On Monday, I find out if I got approved or not for the new place that I want to live at, which will give us a really good time frame of what we're going to do.
Her fans begged her to stop giving out information.
Stop giving out details. Stop telling me what to do.
Later that day, Clara
Hey, don't do the thing that's causing you problems. Don't tell me what to do. I'm getting the stomachache from drinking all this bleach. I feel ill. Stop drinking bleach. No. I want to drink bleach, actually. Oh my God, dude, it's just... Do you know what it is as well? Is obviously I've spoken about this at different times, different interests, different levels of coverage. But just having it all in one place, laid out, and seeing it all end to end, you're just like, yeah. Do you know what I mean? It's like, this is fucked, dude. This is so fucked up. Lots of doorknobbers. What's a doorknobber?
tweeted, "Do I have any followers in Europe? Let me know if you want to meet up." Her first stream back revealed she was in Northern Ireland.
So, I'm okay. I am currently in Ireland. I am staying with a friend. I'm safe. Things are good.
I mean, entire room showed. Really, I think that in most cases, showing a room probably isn't going to be an issue. But when you're being, targeted to this level by your own words, I think that you're probably better off just doing it with your back to a wall or something, because it's very difficult to figure out where you are just on the basis of like a blank wall. Like the angle here, I mean, there's an extension cord there, so clearly you could set this up in a different way.
Good. Don't tell people what country. It is completely fine. Do you know how dense Ireland is? Very dense country. I do not think it's going to be a problem.
She was staying with a friend named Ellen. Her ex-fiancé never moved over for reasons we're actually going to discuss later. Ellen had already been doxxed months prior, and their apartment was found within 24 hours. And
oh boy.
they trolled. Ellen had already been doxxed.
Thanks to Redacted once again. Ellen from now on. Okay. Ellen is another Keffals mod with questionable OPSEC even after the supposed improvement. Jesus.
Months prior, and their apartment was found within 24 hours. And a troll took this photo outside their building. They were able to find her location just by using a doorknob. To be clear, I'm not endorsing any of this behavior or doing it, or even saying if you're careless, you deserve that this happens to you. My argument is that if you're willing to leave a continent to another continent to escape trolls, there is a lot you could do for less to mitigate the risk of doxing. For example, not buying equipment specifically for IRL streaming and announcing where you're going to be in advance. At one point, Ellen revealed they were going to go to visit a poutine truck in Belfast. The owner received bomb threats, which Clara used to tease an IRL stream on Twitter.
Oh my god!
The owner received
this
bomb
stuff,
threats, which
I didn't, you know, I can't remember all the details of this stuff. That's crazy. Just rang up a couple of lads down in Belfast and asked them to da-da-da-da. So this person got banned, didn't they? If I recall correctly, I'm sure he's going to mention it. But like, this is just against the rules of Kiwi Farms. You cannot say stuff like this, even on Kiwi Farms. This is considered a potential actionable threat and stuff. So you're going to get banned for that, I think. Yeah, Ellen is live on Twitch and told a chat she's planning to take me to a poutine shop in Belfast so I can see what Irish poutine holds up. Kiwi Farm users had already mapped out every poutine shop in the city, and one of them posted this. Josh Ramoon just deleted the post. If there was not a spotlight on the website, it would still be up. He's in damage control mode. Yeah, yeah. Exactly. I don't know enough to say conclusively, but obviously, I mean, this was posted 11 minutes ago. Who posted it? Was it some... Yeah, it's like you can't win, can you? You delete a rule-breaking post and it's damage control. You leave it up and it's dangerous and, you know, whatever. You can't win. You cannot fucking win. Poutine is fries with cheese curds and gravy on. It is a Canadian dish. I'd recommend it if you're into that sort of thing.
Clara used to tease an IRL stream on Twitter. Hey, maybe it's a one-off mistake, right? A day later, Ellen publicly fielded suggestions for future IRL stream locations in Ireland. I want to reiterate, if you are in hiding, why would you buy new streaming equipment specifically for streaming in the public, and then also share where you plan on going in advance?
Dude, it's fucking insane. Look, I don't think I'm safe from getting doxxed or whatever. You know, I'm sure there's some people maybe that might want to do it. I don't really know, okay? I'm just a dude chilling out, all right? No need for that. Let's relax a little bit. So I don't think that I'm completely safe, and I recognize that it could happen to me. But it's like, even just casually, even just like on a normal basis, you would generally just try to be quite cautious. Right? Like, you're not going to go out and fucking, like, for example, right? Imagine if I went out and I was like, hey guys, I'm at this, you know, non-chain restaurant in my town. Okay? All you do is you go, right, Google that. Oh, it's that restaurant in that city. Boom, there we go. We got a location. And you go from there, you know? I've made mistakes. I've made mistakes. You know, I'm not perfect. I've made mistakes in my time. Yeah, it's obviously, you know, very difficult to be completely 100% all the time. But the point I'm making is you just have a general level of caution that you generally have, okay? Right? But to be the target, the eye of Sauron is on you, and you're going out in public talking about where you're going to be. It's just absurd. And then obviously the excuse later is, oh, well, I was baiting them or whatever. Like, simultaneously claiming your life is in great danger and threat, whilst also very publicly talking about what you're doing and where you're going, is fucking mental. Okay? If you were going to a pub in my town, I'd come buy you a pint. Thank you. Appreciate that.
By her own admission, she wanted to stoke the flames in order to maximize publicity.
By intentionally making myself a lightning rod.
Like I talked about the weather, and Bumba pulled up a weather map of the US, and it was only raining in one specific region. Yes, exactly. Yes, it can be to that level where you can just casually mention a detail like that. I mean, obviously in the UK, it rains all the time everywhere. Ignore the outside for today. But, you know, that's fine. But yeah, you could just say a little detail like that is enough to just, okay, boom. Like when I've traveled as well, I've tried to be careful to like not reveal too much about it. In fact, in the future, I think I'm not going to say anything just to be on the safe side, right? But like, it can be like, oh, I'm traveling here. And you say the day, You can track it down to like the airport, and then you can look at the flights and you can figure out roughly. Okay, boom, there we go. Dude, it's crazy to say that. And I'm not in the target of anything. I don't think that anyone particularly is particularly trying to dox me now. But if you were in the crosshairs, so to speak, you would be fucking on lockdown at every possible angle. Fucking hell, dude. Crazy.
So I could make kiwi farms more vicious and attack me to the point where Cloudflare had no choice. Because every time they attacked me, I publicized it. One of the things that I did intentionally for the success of the campaign was make myself a lightning rod. I egged them on. I egged kiwi farms on. I wanted them to attack me. Because by doing that, I was able to show the world how fucking vile they are.
In the past, streamers have been punished for similar behavior. Ice Poseidon was notorious for being a constant target of swatting. He was ultimately banned after streaming and getting swatted inside an airport, and while it wasn't his fault, at a certain point he was clearly feigning ignorance and enabling his troll's behavior for content. What makes Clara's behavior different, and what actually prevented her from staying in Canada? Well, if you think...
Dude. It was so funny, wasn't it? All these people that were going, oh no, oh my goodness, so terrible, so bad. Stop doing that. The trouble with Keffals is you don't know what at this point, what is a lie and what isn't. It's like a web of lies, and it's impossible to untangle. What is the truth? Was it that you were reckless? Were you on drugs? Probably, yes. Or is it true that you were genuinely trying to be a lightning rod? It's just, you just can't know because the story's changed so much. Crazy. Anyway,
it's Farah's behavior different, and what actually prevented her from staying in Canada? Well, if you think it's fucked up for me to question it, don't worry, because Keffals has since admitted that this entire cover story was all a lie. Nowadays, her explanation for leaving the continent was not to escape online harassment, but to escape her ex-fiancé, Alex, who she now accuses of being abusive. To not get too deep into it, this is after her ex-fiancé called her out for leaving to cheat on her with Ellen.
This is where I need to admit something. Last year, I was in the papers. This was on CBC, Canada's biggest media outlet. Twitch streamer and trans activist says she's leaving Canada for a while due to harassment. Earlier this month, Clara Sorrenti was the target of a swatting incident and has been doxxed and hacked. And there was a criticism that I frequently got throughout that time. How does moving to a different country help you with online harassment? And
which, by the way, at the time, was responded to with a cacophony of autistic screeching. How dare you question someone? Do you remember this? If anyone asked that question, you were considered like a terrible person. When you were right to question it because it wasn't true. And the foundation of a lot of this campaigning against Kiwi farms was this idea that they'd made Keffals move. Oh, they're terrible. Look what they did to Keffals. They forced Keffals to move. Oh, fucking hell, dude. Mental. But yeah, I don't know, man. Just don't lie. Tell the truth. Be honest. Be honest, okay? Be honest. Be as honest as you can be. If you don't want to tell a lie, don't speak. That's I think the best thing.
And as we found out, it didn't. Because once I landed in Belfast, I had people showing up, making threats outside of where I was staying. And I knew that no matter where I went in the world, I would not escape online harassment as long as I was an online figure. And the truth is, I left the country because of my ex, and because I was scared of my ex. Because my ex was abusive and abused me emotionally and yelled at me and consistently coerced me into sex. That's why I left. But I couldn't tell anyone. I didn't want it to be a big thing. I didn't want it to be in the papers. Well, all the
fake tears. Fake tears. We've seen it all before.
Journalists were circling around and writing their stories. I didn't want that to be known. I didn't want any of this to ever be out in public. So here's
Her escape basically amounted to a paid-for vacation across Europe, evident by a leaked post from her closed Twitter circle on September 14th.
Oh, what is this? Oh, I don't think I've seen this before. Oh, I cannot wait to get my new apartment and set up a studio. Staying in Ireland until the 27th, then I'm heading to Spain until the 11th. I get my apartment on the 12th.
Clara reveals she was staying in Ireland until the 27th, then heading to Spain until the 11th, before moving into her apartment on the 12th. Now, the dates imply that she had already just bought tickets, but she ended up in London instead to watch a play. Clara then briefly returned to Ireland before flying to the United States to attend TwitchCon. Not only did she stream the event IRL, but she even antagonized Destiny's ex-wife for being married to him.
Keffals went to go, and she went up to Melina. Yes, I know. It's me. Yes, it's me. Who's the source? ChudLogic is the fucking source. That's right. I'm the fucking source on this, okay? Because my word is my fucking bond. All right? You can take what I say to the bank and cash that shit because I do not tell a lie. She was shaking. Like, it was like she was so anxious or so angry she was shaking, right? And she said, tell your husband, if he doesn't stop coming for me, I'm going to get his YouTube channel deleted. No memes. That happened, okay?
So Keffals moved into...
That was actually my first Facecam stream. So I was actually feeling a little bit, ooh, what's going to happen, I wonder? Basically, the entirety of it was just saying I looked like that ugly British actor. That was mainly what happened. But yeah. You look hanging. I probably was. I was probably really hungover. But yeah, I was... This is going to sound so... It's not dude, I'm not trying to be pretentious, okay? But I think I was... I had like 300 odd viewers at the time, but I was like in my Airbnb, I think the biggest creator. So I ended up getting the biggest room. I didn't ask for it. I just got given the biggest room. And there was like a little closet that you could get to through there. We didn't want to like broadcast the place because, again, didn't want to get fucking a bunch of people turning up. You never fucking know. Probably fine. But anyway, I was tucked away in this little closet. Fucking just doing my first stream of the face cam. And then I dropped some, the fucking drama that happened at the Twitch partner party. And then that became a thing. So it was actually quite good. It was actually quite good promotion. I didn't see it like that at the time. I didn't think I'm going to tell this story and it's going to blow up and I'm going to get loads of attention. I just thought it was a funny story to tell that people would be interested in. And yeah. Good memories. Good memories. Am I going to go this year? I don't know. That's the question I'm thinking to myself right now. I kind of want to go, but also I'm trying to save to buy a house. So yeah. The bottle cap video. Oh yeah, that was within his channel. Yeah, that was funny. Very good memories. But anyway, there we go. That was a little British surprise for everyone. It is actually quite, in all seriousness, it is quite good to feel like, okay, well, Mutahar trusts me enough to use me as a source. Bit of that British-Indian, combination. I like it.
Her new apartment on October 12th and used some of the GoFundMe money to pay for a full year's worth of rent in advance.
So just a quick update. I have an apartment for October. I'm moving then. I have it. I've already paid. I'm putting it, I'm using the GoFundMe money to pay an entire year in advance.
Now, which is not something she ever said she was going to do, and a huge departure from just moving. Clara moves into a luxury apartment, and with a low approximation amounting to $28,000. So far, Clara has admitted to spending the money.
Whoa! What the fuck is this? I didn't know this. I need to... Wait, sorry. I need to... Sorry. I got distracted by my narcissism.
And use some of the GoFundMe money to pay for a full year's worth of rent in advance.
So just a quick update. I have an apartment for October. I'm moving then. I have it. I've already paid. I'm putting it, I'm using the GoFundMe money to pay an entire year in advance.
Now, which is not something she ever said she was going to do, and a huge departure from just moving. Clara moves into a luxury apartment, and with a low approximation amounting to $28,000. So far, Clara has...
Now, does that door show anything? Actually, yes. Oh my god. These people are... Look, okay? Kiwi Farms. I like what you're doing, all right? I'm not going to complain. I get a lot of info from there to look at and stuff, but dude, you guys are fucking insane, bro. Like fucking, we have tracked down the apartment and this is what it must be. It cannot be a 1, it must be a 2-bedroom apartment. Bro, you should work for the fucking CIA or some shit. I don't fucking know. Tracking shit down like this. Yes, weaponized autism, exactly. Maybe some of you do work for, in fact, some of you probably do work for the CIA. But yeah, I remember the 4chan, he will not replace us situation. That was a 4chan op, though. That was a poll op. I remember that. That was another sort of incident where they just found some insane details to track this thing down. You're next, Chud. Okay. I'm assuming I'm already doxxed, okay? That's my assumption. I'm going to go ahead and assume you guys know that I live at 6789 Gay British Lane.
Has admitted to spending the money on new devices, as well as equipment for IRL streaming. She traveled across Europe, planning to visit Spain from Ireland, but ended up at a play in London instead. She then flies to TwitchCon in the United States before getting an apartment in Canada and then paying an entire year's worth of rent. There she bought even more equipment to build a professional set with studio lights. While it's difficult to make an exact calculation for this, the gaming chair alone, her gaming chair, would have cost over $2,000.
Wait!
Gaming chair alone...
Herman Miller Logitech, and those are like that's like the top tier, right? I've obviously got a fucking secret lab after like years. And I thought that was, a bit much. I was like, oh, secret lab, really? I was like, fuck it. Treat yourself, nice chair, it'll probably be good. I looked at this and I immediately was like, no, right? Like, I think I probably could have done it. I probably could have managed to afford it, but it was just seemed extortionate to like, it just seemed excessive. Like, why do you need that good a chair? When you're like in hiding, GoFundMe money, like it behooves you, I think, to be more scrutinizing with money that you're claiming to raise for a certain purpose. Like, this is so obvious, isn't it? You know? It is a good chair, but it is like luxury for people that are like minted, that don't need to even think about money, right? Like, you could get a good enough chair that would still offer support and stuff for a fraction of the price. You know, probably a few £100 at most. Like an ergonomic office chair or something. Fucking hell, dude. It's not luxury. It is. That's a luxury purchase.
Her gaming chair would have cost over $2,000.
I had to take extra caution with the set that I made. It's not even a set, it's just like part of my home, but it is basically a set. I have like studio lights, I have like whole camera thing, it's very professional. So I had to go through all of this as soon as I got back from TwitchCon to make sure that I could just like return to my life before I was swatted.
But see, that wasn't the only thing she admits to spending some of this GoFundMe money on.
Dude, it's so... You can get away with so much, man, especially if you're... You know what? When I went to TwitchCon, I had to raise a little bit of money to help out with some of the costs. But I didn't, like, make it... I just put it as a goal, and I called it, like, literally, I called it the grift fund, right? I was like, I don't want to make it where I'm like, oh, this is super important, this is my rent or something like that, or I'm in danger. It's like, look, if you really want to help me go and you want to see me there, completely, even more optional than a sub. I mean, a sub is optional anyway, but do you know what I mean? It's like, it's even more optional than that, even, like, literally just throwing money away, essentially, right? Like, I don't know, it's like people are so shameless with it. Like, obviously, there's a dynamic where, yeah, you're asking your audience for money. That's kind of inevitable doing this. But I think you've got to be so careful with it, and you should never put it in a position where there's an urgency presented. Yeah, like imagine if I'd called it emergency TwitchCon money or something like that, you know? Like, God, could you imagine? I don't know, man. It's just like, dude. I look, at the end of the day, you got to shill a bit. I think unless you're like a massive creator, you don't have to worry about it. You got to do a bit of shilling, remind people how to support you. But I think it's about doing it in a way that doesn't put across a emotional onus on people. I think when you do that, you're kind of breaking like a rule or something, right? You see what I mean? It's like there's some sort of unspoken rule about that, where it's just don't do that. Don't put people in a position where they feel emotionally manipulated to give you money, right? Make it always optional, make it fun, make it entertaining, but never make it, I need this for rent or I need this for some essential purpose. Because some people will get taken in by it and give you money. And that is in and of itself, let a fucking alone 100K with an ever-changing story of danger and risk and problems. Like it's another level beyond like even what fucking DSP does, right? DSP pales in comparison to this. DSP cringily asks for PayPal money so we can buy groceries, okay? That's shitty in and of itself. This is like another fucking level. And it wasn't really like a thing to call it well. I remember back in I remember, speaking of TwitchCon, I was with a mixture of people. Some were a bit more progressive, others were a bit more liberal or whatever. But I had like arguments about this, right? I had full-blown arguments with people arguing about the Keffals money. And it was like, no, there's something. It was like, at that time, it wasn't even like super explicit. It was more like, there's something wrong with this. There's something not quite right, because not all the information had like, come out back then, I think. But yeah, I think people were just, just even questioning it, even asking a question and being like, what is going on? You were seen as a bad person. You were seen as supporting Kiwi farms or being transphobic and stuff like that. And the great thing now, you don't have to care about that anymore. Be transphobic. Support Kiwi farms. No one seems to care that much anymore. Or maybe the people that do care have blocked me on Twitter. I don't know. But generally, it's fine. You can do all that stuff. No one's going to care as much, and it's based.
Also says she contracted a security company in September to keep herself safe.
I consulted with a security company, and they made all of my devices hack-proof, and they gave me tips on not getting doxxed again. They also helped me with a whole bunch of other stuff that I can't talk about because I signed an NDA, like a non-disclosure agreement.
Okay, here we go. We're going to train you. I mean, hack-proof is stupid, but also it's like we're going to train you about, getting doxxed. Number one. Don't constantly post pictures of yourself and your surroundings on social media for validation. Lesson number one, okay? Lesson number two, don't publicly announce where you're going to be and your movements to people, okay?
I already hired a lawyer, and all of the information between me and my lawyer is privileged and confidential, and I can't talk about it. So the money towards a legal fund is being utilized, but until the point where I can actually talk about what I'm doing, I can't say anything. So I use the money to find a place, to contract a security company to keep myself safe, and to hire a lawyer.
This raises an interesting question on what the security company was doing beyond making her devices hack-proof. That same month, she confronted a prolific member of the Kiwi Farms thread. Keffals tried to intimidate the user with their personal information.
On September 5th, the day after Clever dropped Kiwi Farms, Redacted felt very emboldened and attempted to dox me using a private investigator. Despite what Redacted says, and despite how confident Redacted is that you got me, this is a fail dox. Oh, I remember this. Yeah, this was a good one, wasn't it? Yo, let's go!
Claiming to have hired a private investigator. I know the PI will get me more, though. He's still talking to the family and school officials. This didn't work Because they doxed the wrong person. The user mocked her and asked if she paid for the PI using her GoFundMe. Clara responded, "No, the GoFundMe is currently in savings until I need to use it." In case you doubt the authenticity of these messages, Clara has confirmed that they are real several times. And I don't know about you, but hiring a private investigator so you can confront trolls with bad info doesn't sound like the action of someone in fear of their life.
True. Alan probably knows about this a bit. Yeah, she hired a private investigator to dox Kiwi farmers. Yep, that is one thing that is a good idea. Is you do that? Yeah, I'm sure that's good. I'm sure that's going to help somehow.
Her messages also contradict a tweet where she says $50,000 was already put into the legal fund. The final thing Clara mentions in that stream clip is using the money to hire a lawyer. What's interesting is that by her own words, she already had a lawyer and was consulting 2 more. The day after the GoFundMe had launched. It was one of her earliest responses to criticisms over reportedly raising her goal.
Yes, I'm using these funds to move, but more importantly, once I'm safe, the rest of those funds are going to be used for legal expenses. Because I'm not just moving. I'm also taking legal action. I already have 1 lawyer, and I'm consulting with 2 more. I'm going to get justice for what happened to me, and for every other marginalized person in this country who has been victimized. Legal fees are incredibly expensive, and I feel very fortunate that I was able to raise this much money, because I would not be able to take legal action if it wasn't for that.
This is strange in retrospect, as only 12 days later, she made it very clear she was holding off pursuing legal action against the London police.
So that's the other thing too. Someone referenced it earlier. Where did the money go? Apparently into savings. Well, if it's in a savings account, it's likely going to be accruing interest. And that's not, like, to me, you should not in any way be benefiting financially from like a charitable aspect. It should be used for the purpose it's for. You know, it's like Count Dankula. Count Dankula raised a bunch of money for his legal fees, but it never touched his accounts. It was held in escrow or something, right? And then it was sent to the lawyers, and I think any remaining money was sent to charity. More often than not, consultation is done for free, and the conflict check Keffals shows is standard, extremely simple and easy. Right, okay. But yeah, I mean, it's like that 100K is going to earn you a pretty penny. Well, when it gets diminished from the, you know, the coke, the coke diving or whatever. But yeah, I mean, that's money that you're not entitled to, because, you know, it's not for your savings. It's not to benefit from financially. It's for a purpose, right? It's like a, you know, it's like a breach of trust or something. I don't know. It's crazy, you know. But our fans just didn't question it, didn't care. As far as they were concerned, Keffals could do whatever they wanted with the money, even though they asked for it under the pretense of being under great threat and using it to move for equipment and for legal fees.
First happened, I was very mad at the police, and I wanted to hold their feet to the fire as much as possible.
They still don't care. Well, I mean, maybe some have turned around and do, but the question I'd ask is this. There's people out there who are currently talking about this video, about the thumbnail, and about 2 instances of alleged singular they pronoun usage and calling it misgendering. About a video which lays out quite plainly the dishonesty, the lies, the potential fraudulent behavior, or whatever you want to call it. Do they really care about this? Like, probably not, no. Why would your first instinct, you might be put off by the thumbnail. You might go, ooh, not sure about that. A little bit transphobic for my tastes. But then you'd watch it and you go, oh, okay, this is pretty fucking bad. Yeah, it seems like Keffals did pull a bit of a fast one here. They clearly don't give 2 fucks. And, you know, they want to... On top of that as well, she's lost a lot of support. A lot of support has dissipated. Keffals is now in a position where a lot of the classic supporters have kind of gone and pissed off a lot of people and so on. So I think that there's that aspect too, where people have moved on and they don't really look back and don't care and just recognize, oh yeah, this person's a fucking liar. fraudster, whatever you want to say.
I wanted to even potentially pursue legal action against them, but they've taken the threat against my life very seriously, and I want to see justice. There's a lot of leads right now, and they might actually be able to catch the person who swatted me. And with what is going on and the connections to Kiwi Farms, knowing that they're monitoring the thread, we might actually see something happen.
Now, at around the same time, she told the Kiwi Farms user the money was in savings. She claimed she never said she was going to sue the police.
Yeah, that's all I said. I never said that I was going to sue the police.
Got him. Got him. Oh, God. You know what? I remember this. When you see it side by side, it is just clear cut, isn't it? You know? Absolute clear cut, clear as day. Lies. Just total lies. New turns, new stories. Oh, God. Semantic BS to wriggle around what you actually clearly were putting across and what you were saying.
I wanted to be very careful with the language that I used because I don't know exactly what the plan is. I know that I'm eventually going to take legal action in some way or another, but I don't know yet, and I can't talk about the different things that have been discussed between my lawyer and I.
Now, going back to Destiny's manifesto, this was scrutinized on a much wider scale, which led many to start asking for a breakdown of expenses. Clara refused because
oh wait, hang on, we missed
wider
one there.
Scale, which led many to start asking for a breakdown.
That person there, this Ben Gross guy, I think, is like a kind of lefty, lib lefty progressive guy, and this Delaniac guy, Chad, not Chud, is well, he's a soy cuck rose guy. He's a fucking, you know, a democratic socialist kind of guy, I think. Like, these are lefties. These are not like these are not bad right wingers. We're trying to like take you down and dox you and stuff like that. These are just people who are on the left who were just asking reasonable questions about what is going on. This one's a bit more aggro. It's one thing to be a total fraud. It's another to act as though you're morally just in doing so. It's really disheartening to see someone who presented themselves as to the public as a force for good behave so selfishly. I bet this woman was going to make 6 figures this year anyway. Streamers are rolling in cash. Donate the money to trans charities. Do mutual aid. Fucking something productive. Don't hoard it like a dragon. I mean, I disagree with that last part. I think hoarding stuff is great. But I see where they're coming from. Okay. I have a legal fund. I got an apartment. And I can afford to take time off to move and process one of the most traumatizing events in my life without lost wages. All goals were met. Seems like there was a goal involving doing something with the legal fund. Protecting my rights. Go read the GoFundMe. Even the GoFundMe says the fund would be used to seek justice. And at varying points, you said it would be used to, e.g., sue the police department. True. Keffals didn't hoard it. I hear there's a lot of drug dealers in certain cities that Keffals is accredited that, if anything, it is kind of redistributing it to the, you know, the working class sort of drug dealers.
Down of expenses, Clara.
And she literally uses the whole not okay for thee, but fine for me style attacks, where she frames something as bad, whether or not it is, makes up things and lies, then does the exact same thing later on. But because she claims to be a leftist, it's okay. Yes. Yes, exactly. Damn, crazy.
Refused because I'm not providing a product to investors. I won't be sharing expense breakdowns. I've been advised by lawyers to keep everything close to vest for legal and safety reasons. Clara rebuked that there was a legal fund. She got an apartment and was now processing the entire event. Now, you're probably wondering, if she wasn't planning on suing the police, why did she hire lawyers and what was the point of the legal fund? Well, if you read between the lines, some of you might be able to infer what actually happened. On October 2nd, 2022, Clara posted a client engagement agreement to prove legal action was underway. If you look at the bottom, you can see the document reads, "We have concluded a review of our records, and we confirm that we have not identified a conflicting interest in representing you in this matter. We searched the following names that you provided to us as being relevant. The terms they searched for were Clara Sorrenti, Kiwi Farms, and KiwiFarms.net. Now this proves she was paying money to consult lawyers about a lawsuit against Kiwi Farms, but not the London police. It's dated August 10th, the same exact day as her stream stating that she'd consulted a lawyer. There isn't actually even a good explanation of why she did this. Kiwi Farms was never mentioned as the intended target of her legal fund. The only entity named in the GoFundMe was the London police. So this took place around the same time she claimed she never intended to sue the police.
My God.
And if you're wondering why it didn't go anywhere, for as much as people hate Kiwi Farms, the website is entirely legal. There are countless examples of attempted litigation that demonstrate.
Take that off the goddamn internet. Take down notices and frivolous legal threats the Kiwi Farms receives. Well, Josh, I think, has got a legal fund now, right? To deal with these things, these matters. Oh.
Demonstrate this and why it never actually came to fruition. One thing I also want to address is some people have said, whoa, did you get some of your evidence on the Kiwi Farms? Even if I did, that doesn't make the evidence inadmissible. A lot of the Kiwi Farms evidence is actually cataloged on archive websites that capture a snapshot of a web page and tweets and whatnot. This is to ensure that nothing that I'm showing you is actually altered and it was as it was originally posted. This makes the evidence admissible. It's kind of like saying, wow, did you find that perfectly good piece of evidence sitting in the middle of a neo-Nazi compound? Yeah, trust me, I get the whole building surrounding it is pretty shitty, but that doesn't mean the evidence is inadmissible. It's still perfectly good evidence. I just wanted to address this point because it's a common deflection and one that I absolutely need to nip in the butt.
Suing Kiwi Farms.
I'm glad that he addressed that. Was he a bit soy? Acting like it's a neo-Nazi compound or making that? Yeah, a little bit. But I think that's quite a good message that's going to really debunk that point, right? Yeah, that argument was all over Twitter. Yeah, there was some fucking retard that Keffals, I think, retweeted. Not Keffals, sorry. Tipster retweeted. That was like, they said ages ago, they're just going to go to Kiwi Farms and get the information from there. And then I predicted that would happen. They've created this dynamic where if anything is on Kiwi Farms, that's it. You can't fucking talk about it. I mean, it's so stupid. What would be stupid is to present, some fucking Kiwi Farms guy going like, yeah, this fucking this, that, and the other, slur. Like, yeah, that's the thing that you could say, well, you're including that for no reason to be transphobic or whatever. But if it's just, hey, here's a screenshot of a website, Twitter, boom, there you go. There's literally no argument against that. And they've got to try and obfuscate and deflect because they know they're banged to fucking rights.
Was actually something that I previously considered and was consulting with lawyers about doing that. And I basically came to the conclusion after looking into it that it's not worth it. There's little I can do as a Canadian to benefit from doing a lawsuit against Kiwi Farms. The only possible lawsuit being a defamation lawsuit, which there is little to no benefit for me to do.
3 days after...
Fucking hell, the cope. The cope, dude. Let's go.
Posting that letter, Clara admitted on a private stream that she hadn't even started yet. Her unnecessary traveling is blamed for keeping her busy, which to me is an admission that she wasn't all that interested in consulting her lawyers.
But now I'm going to be focusing more on the legal things because I'm settled down, I'm back in Canada, and I have time.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. Little to no benefit means I would lose the case, right? Because if you genuinely felt like there was defamation or something that you could pursue, you would do it. Right? Like, why wouldn't you? Especially considering your whole thing was to take the site down, wasn't it? Hey? Which never fucking happened, which is bullshit. Take it down legally then. Oh, turns out you can't, because that's not how it works.
Time to work on this now. Consulted quite a bit with my lawyers.
Muta didn't talk enough about Keffals spending most of the money on coke. Look, that's a good meme for a DK thumbnail, okay? But in terms of like actually making a statement of fact in a video, I don't think you should. I mean, obviously Mutahar is very much a down the line evidence thing or whatever. So I think you probably can't get away with saying things that you can't prove like that. As much as we all know what's going on, okay? We know where the money went, up your nose.
But we at the time were, especially during the campaign, basically unsure of how to go forward, especially because my availability was kind of all over the place.
And that's because this will be a very important issue later. She was still in the process of collecting evidence.
But the problem is right now is that I'm still in the process of I have to collect all the evidence. One of the first steps that you need to do is collect evidence. And if you announce prematurely who you are taking legal action against, it gives that party an opportunity to try and destroy as much evidence as possible. I'm not even going to publicly comment on the party either.
Now, for this to make sense, you kind of have to assume she wasn't talking about the police. In that case, we already know what proof does or does not exist. Her recount can't be proven, and even if we're to believe her, it's hard to argue the police acted out of prejudice. This is brought up by Nicholas Diorio, who got some interesting answers out of her on stream. The first clip is Clara stating she was still engaged in legal action against the police.
I wasn't aware you were still engaging with legal action of the police.
I am. It's just like there's been so much shit that happened, and then like immediately after like getting back from everything, I had to move, and I'd like.
One day I'm hoping to be sued for defamation over a thumbnail and have their lawyer read out the words AIDS-riddled Aussie to the jury. Okay.
Like just got unpacked like 2 weeks ago.
Claire describes a specific incident in which she was dead-named while being put in handcuffs. However, she admits it could have been an honest mistake, and the officer didn't know what a dead name was.
Now, there are questions as to the dead naming taking place. They claim they have no footage of you being dead named once you get back to the precinct, and you claim there was dead naming. So the only time that could have happened is during the swatting itself. Is that still something that you claim?
Yeah, that was something that happened with the constable that arrested me, like when I was actually being put in handcuffs.
Look, I don't have a problem with spicing up the story a little bit, but and I understand the like how this upset you and your family, but it really does sound like you kind of slandered those cops. Like I don't
think I slandered them. I mean,
if
like
we're taking them at face value, right? For that they thought when they were going into your house that they were like potentially dealing with somebody who was planning to shoot up a like public office building or something like that with like politicians, then like it's totally possible that they thought that was your name, like that you went by that name. So
I mean, no, because the email. Did you read the email?
Yes, I did read
the first sentence of the email is, "My name is Clara Sorrenti."
But then it was signed with your dead name.
It said, "My name is Clara Sorrenti," and then my dead name is blank, and they put the dead name. So they made a decision at that point that they thought that my name wasn't actually my name and dead name was a real name. The officer that actually like arrested me said she did not actually know what a dead name was.
Now this is where the story starts to take a very drastic turn. In the same private stream, Clara states,
"Oh, hey, CJ Brown. The way these people target Kiwi farms with network infrastructure attacks is borderline terrorism." Internet terror, yes, it is like a form of internet terrorism, right? But yeah, damn, Nicholas was being very nice to Keffals. He was taking the softly approach. Maybe Nicholas and Tipster have got more in common than we first thought.
So she had 2 years to take legal action due to the statute of limitations. Her plan was to start sometime in December or January of 2023.
A timeline of how things are happening. I have a total of 2 years to take legal actions. That's the statute of limitations. I want to start before this year ends, ideally. Like, if I can kick things off in December or in January in the new year, that would be ideal. That's what I want. I talked to my lawyer today, and it's looking like January is the month where I'm going to be filing against the London Police Service. Once the video is out, everyone will know like all of the details of the case going forward. I've already been told that the case that I'm about to start could take up to 5 years.
This never came to fruition, with the activist drifting away from politics and stoking the flames of online drama. She started fighting with people like Keemstar and her own community, to the point that Drop Kiwi Farms officially denounced her. Her self-destructive behavior drew a lot of concern, which eventually led people to discover that she'd actually relapsed into addiction.
Oh my god, there's no way Mommy Big Dick is in this. There's no way, dude. There's no way Mommy Big Dick is in the fucking video. So yeah, Keffals got revenge. Keffals, I mean, to be honest with you, this Mommy Big Dick person does sound fucking insane and unhinged in the shit they've done. I think I did a video about the allegations, but yeah, Mommy Big Dick. Last night, you said that way too eagerly. You're hearing stuff that isn't there, Stylo, because you want your narrative to be true, okay? Your little chaser narrative that you keep pushing, your misinformation. Last night, it's a funny name. Last night, I found out the reason why Keffals is acting the way she is. Do you remember this? She has relapsed into addiction. God, this is great. Trip down memory lane. People who know her IRL DM'd me to ask me to lay off her because they were afraid I would trigger an overdose. She's desperate for cash because she's an addict. This interaction right here is what triggered her to do Kiwi Farms 2. I mentioned daily intake, pardon the ableist language, and I triggered her because she thought I knew about her addiction, but I didn't at the time. She panicked and made the Reddit post. Yo. What do you mean? You guys have fucking lost it. Nah, Mummy Big Dick. Listen, if you're going to point the chaser finger at anyone, go and look at the thumbnail that DK did for the video about Mummy Big Dick, okay? That dude was fucking perusing some images. That's for fucking sure. Let he who's without sin cast the first stone.
It was leaked publicly on February 19, 2023, and a few days later that Clara admitted herself to inpatient rehab.
I can't remember exactly. I think I don't even know if I can show it on stream. I think there might even be a bit of nipple in it, maybe. Yeah, the elf person. Yeah.
Now, I'm not here to shame Keffals about her addiction. It's important for people to take recovery very seriously. But the timeline of events also can't be ignored. The relapse occurred after the attempt at swatting. Clara says after settling into her new apartment in October, she began drinking excessively. And at the start of 2023, she started doing full-blown Colombian. And I'm not talking about no coffee, boy.
I got really depressed. I lost interest in politics.
Okay, DK.
I lost interest in basically all of the things that helped me build a platform in the first place. And around the end of 2022, I started drinking, which made me spiral. It was around the time that I was in fights with Keemstar. I started drinking, and then as more and more shit started happening, I started doing cocaine at the start of 2023.
Near the end of the month, she went on an 8-day coke bender before finding out that some of that coke was, I guess, cut with meth.
8 days into a cocaine bender, I found out that the coke that I was doing was cut with meth. So for 8 days straight, I was doing coke and meth.
This took place a few days after she had said the dreaded R word, ooh, which she later blamed on withdrawals, apparently. Her spiral worsened as she started doing coke, meth, benzos, while attempting to buy H on the dark web.
Started doing coke and meth and benzos. And I was planning on ordering him from the dark net.
After the backlash, Clara went into rehab on February 22nd. In the next few days, I will be admitted to rehab. The doctor said that because of the drugs I'm addicted to, without medical supervision, detoxing will kill me. Now, I'm inclined to believe her on this, given that she didn't return until about a month later. Clara later admitted that she spent more money going to rehab than she ever had on actual drugs.
I was in rehab for 34 days before I discharged. I went to the addiction rehabilitation Toronto facility, and it was one of the best decisions I think I've ever made.
While Addiction Rehab Toronto doesn't have prices listed on their sites, aggregators like Recovery.com price a 30-day stay at the facility at 20,000 Canadian dollars.
There's another fucking 20% of the fucking GoFundMe down the Swanee for the drug treatment. Dude, that is insane. Just absolutely absurd expenditures happening here. And, you know, obviously we were a bit more, like the thumbnail said, like, you know, 100k spent on drugs is quite funny. And I, you know, maybe a bit more cautiously suggested that maybe some of the money went on drugs. But the fact that it was discovered that Keffals had a drug issue, and then on top of that, thinking back, they'd gotten access to $100,000. There were some people that were totally unwilling to connect the two in any sort of way, right? You couldn't even think that or question that. It's like, it's fucking obvious, right? I don't know if Muhar's going to do this either. But when Keffals came back from rehab too, there was another little trick that was played where when Keffals came back to stream after coming out of rehab, they filed their human rights complaint. And I think that was another trick that was utilized to try and distract away from all the stuff that had happened. They'd be like, you know, oh, well, I'm doing it now, right? I think that was another aspect to this whole thing too. It was another obfuscation to try and swerve around the fact that you hadn't done what you said you were going to do. Especially when you consider that, yeah, the human rights complaint in itself is free. You know, I think that Keffals did retain a lawyer, but how much would that have cost? You know? And also, it's the 12th of May, 2024. What happened to the human rights complaint? Where's an update on that? What is going on there? God, this really is an absolute steal that has been participated in here. Because a lot of the fans of Keffals just don't question this. They don't seem to care. Like, it's all there for you now. It's all lined up. It's obvious what's happened here.
And that is a fourth of the entire dollar amount. It's hard to believe that expense, on top of buying enough drugs to end up there in the first place, had no bearing on how that GoFundMe money was used. One of her mods admitted the habit went a bit into the fund money at the end. However much a bit is, we might never know. Her relapse began...
As someone who's actually within the direct circle now, the addiction happened long after she used the majority of the money moving to a new place, furnishing that place, buying an entirely streaming setup because cops took all her shit. Yeah, okay. Yeah, okay. The addiction happened long after. Buying legal defense and counsel, buying therapy for the trauma Kiwi Farms put her through. The addiction started after she started streaming and making money again. The drugs were almost entirely cut out of the streaming income, then went a bit into the fun dollars at the end. A bit. Interesting. I mean, sweep.
Right as she was supposed to initiate legal action, that by her own admission hadn't even started. Remember, she was apparently collecting evidence to beat the statute of limitations. And after a vacation across Europe, new stream equipment, TwitchCon, hiring a private firm, security firm, and private investigator, consulting lawyers about Kiwi Farms, and paying an entire year's worth of rent because fuck it, why not? She spiraled, necessitating a month-long stay at a rehab facility that cost approximately $20K USD. Sorry, hold on a minute. I'm having a little brain fart. Canadian dollars, okay? Big difference. With the latter beginning in the exact time frame she claimed to finally take action against London police. Now, of course, there is one last hope for the GoFundMe money going towards anything vaguely resembling those initial stated goals. In April of 2024, Keffals' lawyer, Justin Anisman, filed a complaint against London Police Services with the Canadian Human Rights Tribune. The application hereby argues she is the victim of discrimination by London Police Services, referred to henceforth as LPS. Now, the 5 examples given, 3 of them discuss her dead name being used in their records. This is true, and acknowledged by London police in their first statement. The complaint further alleges LPS officers used her dead name and gender. During the arrest, this cannot be proven as no body cam footage exists. In a private conversation, she explained pushing body cams was one of her main goals. If I could get one thing from all of this, it would be body.
The reason I ultimately decided to go through the Human Rights Tribunal rather than a lawsuit is because the Human Rights Tribunal has unique powers that a civil suit does not. Such fucking cope, dude. You did it because you had no money that you said that you were going to have, and it was free to file and the least cost-effective option. Seems like a win all round. I hope so, but cops have good lawyers. If I could get one thing from all of this, it would be body cams. Since the police don't have them in my hometown, it's my word versus their word, and there is no video evidence except while I was in custody. I think the rumour mill was way worse than it should have been because of that. And honestly, I didn't handle being under the spotlight that well. I'm kind of a bitch when I feel cornered. Being 100% here, let me foul. Okay. All cops are liars. I think that... Okay. You're the troll guy, aren't you? You're the troll leftoid that hangs around these parts.
Cams, since the police didn't even have them in my hometown. There is no evidence where she is well aware of, hence why her last point is actually kind of bizarre. The complaint introduces an entirely new accusation and has somehow gone unmentioned so far. Clara alleges that an officer groped her breast and said,
oh, yeah,
it's a she.
Oh, yeah, that was a new addition, wasn't it? Slip that one in there as well. The story changed again, and now it includes sexual assault. At ChudLogic, reminder, Keffals said in a Discord that she wanted to settle out of court, but in public said that she wanted to enact policy changes. Oh. Yep.
The fact that we haven't heard about this before is insane. It completely changes the narrative. This realistically should have been her leading story since it's also at gunpoint apparently. If true, the interaction recontextualizes every claim of dead naming. It also makes her behavior afterward much stranger given that she seemed to forgive LPS in favor of pursuing action against Kiwi farms.
Lawyers. Yeah, that's all I said. I never said that I was going to sue the police. I've basically had to make peace with it. Like, after it first happened, I was very mad at the police. And I wanted to hold their feet to the fire as much as possible. I wanted to even potentially pursue legal action against them. But they've taken the threat against my life very seriously. And I want to see justice.
Now, this is in stark contrast to the reduced feelings and security described by Clara as a result of her inability to trust LPS. This impacted her ability to earn a living. In the 6 months since the events at issue in this application, Ms. Sorrenti has seen a reduction in income of more than 25%. That document further alleges that their treatment of Clara left her unable to leave her home. By the way of example, she feels incapable of leaving her home or socializing productively with friends and family out in the community because of a fear that LPS will continue to discriminate against her.
Oh my god, what an absolute bunch of hooey. The feelings of stress, anxiety, and insecurity, adverse effects. Feels betrayed by the LPS. God, do you know what this is like? Do you know what this is like, right? This is like when you trip over a bollard. Did you have those in the US? I don't even know what it is. You trip over something in the street in a public place, right? And then you're like, oh no, my knee. Oh God, it's literally broken. Oh, and my leg as well. My leg is basically fucked. Oh, my back. Oh, my back's gone all of a sudden too. Oh no, oh God. All the pain. I can't possibly work. Lawsuit for tens of thousands of dollars. Thank you very much. You know, you basically like put it all on so fucking thick to make it seem like it's way worse than it is. Bollard. I think, are they those things that they use to block streets? Yes. Yes. That is what they are. These. Well. Yeah, this. This is it? Yeah, this is it. These things. Often they used to block a street and then they could be removed for vans to pass through and stuff. Often on pedestrianised areas, right? Bollard. Yep, there we go. Bollard. That's what we call them over here. Dilators. Okay. Anyway, it doesn't really matter the point you're trying to make. It's overstating your injuries to further give weight to the idea that you're due damages. That's what it comes across like to me. And also, it's like absurd because of the nature of it. As a result of LPS's misgendering. What the fuck, dude? Yeah, basically I got misgendered and my fucking all the bones in my body broke all at once, and now I need damages. Thank you.
This is patently untrue, given that the time frame is when she traveled across the world. It also doesn't make any sense to blame London police for that reduced income. And it only gets crazier when you realize the complaint seeks $125,000 in damages. Accordingly, the applicant seeks the following remedies: a declaration that the LPS discriminated against the applicant contrary to Section 1 of the Code, in order for damages of the injury to applicant's dignity, feelings, and self-respect in the total amount of $75,000, and an order that LPS compensate the applicant for the loss of income suffered and other special damages incurred as a result of the discriminatory plus interest therein in the amount of $50,000. Now, I can't claim to know the intricacies behind the actual lawsuit over here in the Human Rights Tribunal. To be honest, I've tried researching this and I've called around as much as I can, but obviously information on a case, if it's pending and ongoing, isn't going to be shared, nor is a status really something to be handed out about. But at the end of the day, I'm not a lawyer, so me digging into this isn't necessarily going to do much more than you would expect. But that being said, okay, with all of this brought up, this is, I guess, the only last Hail Mary that we have. And if you ask Keffals, the reason they decided to go with the Human Rights Tribunal rather than a lawsuit is because the Human Rights Tribunal has unique powers that a civil suit does not. In Canada, if they were simply to do a lawsuit, all they would get is money. They are apparently pushing for police body cams, which is the complete goal right there. And papers have been processed, and they are awaiting dates to appear in the tribunal. And I'm told this could take a minimum of 2 years at best, and 6 years at worst, depending on if this gets escalated to a...
Dude, sick. Buying time. That's what this is. Buying time before it all comes crumbling down, right? Well, if it would. But yeah. It's, just a bit more time, a bit more time, a bit more time. Like burying your head in the sand, lying for more time. Dude, it's so obvious what's going on here, dude. It's so obvious, dude. Oh, yeah, it could take 2. It could take 6. So, 6 years. Possibly. Oh, my God, man. Liar. Liar, liar. Pants on fire.
A higher judicial body. So again, I'm not an expert at the HRTO, and this section might be pending, and because Keffals is, I guess, quiet these days, I'm blocked, so I wouldn't really know. There might be updates to this, there might not be, okay? But to end this section off, to recap, Keffals deliberately tried to raise as much money as possible. None of her reasons make any sense. She didn't need to move, and used the money for a vacation in Europe, it seems. She didn't just use the fund for moving expenses, but a full year's worth of rent, something she never said she was gonna do. And as far as we can tell, she had no tangible losses. All of her possessions were returned within days, and the legal fund was for a nebulous lawsuit that has changed targets twice. The closest we saw to any actual legal action was that HRTO complaint, which doesn't even require a lawyer and is completely free. It's unlikely to go anywhere since she apparently has no evidence, no credibility, and seemingly no actual legal standing. Okay, so now that we've covered the swatting and her GoFundMe, let's talk about...
Oh, I could have paused it there. Maybe this is another thing, I don't know. DK, if you can make it so that it's all one coherent thing, and then we do the cut here. I don't know. You decide, okay? Anyway, is it too late? I don't know. Okay, right, we'll do it like this. It's going to be a bit jaunty, okay? Anyway, guys. So that is it for today. Obviously, we're splitting this up a little bit. We're going to be back tomorrow. Dude, I don't fucking know, dude. Fix it in post. Fix it in post.